Good morning. Today is the 22nd day of Sivan on the Jewish calendar, and we are, it's the Torah portion of Shalach. And this coming Shabbos, once again, we will be getting together and davening here in accordance with the governor's latest instructions. Shlach has one has several episodes, pieces to it, but probably what I would call the primary episode of that takes up the bulk of the narrative is the tragic events after the Jews left Egypt and they were heading towards the promised land, which God had promised, and therefore they had a divine commitment that they would be able to take the land. They asked Moses, the Jews, to send out scouts, see if they could send out scouts, spies, for reconnaissance, just to see where it was they were going. They wanted to aside from God's promise, they wanted to feel more comfortable with themselves on human terms. And Moses sends one leader of each of the tribes, 12 spies, to go and check out the land of Canaan, the future land of Israel. And 10 of the spies come back, all 12 come back, but 10 of them say that this is not for us. They give very disappointing and negative, discouraging reports about taking the land, which throws the people into a tizzy. No, I think we'll develop different parts of this narrative because this is the narrative where God says, something, you don't want it, you can't have it, you're going to wander 40 years in the desert until new generation comes, and that generation will take the land. But looking at the narrative itself, and the narrative itself, like all narratives of the Torah, every word of the Torah, it's our user's manual for today. One thing that strikes me every year in looking at this Torah portion is how the Torah gives us in very clear words, a psychological truism that's relevant to us all. In the language of the spies who come back with this discouraging report, they say that the people there, the people they'd have to conquer the land from, are awesome. They're fearsome. They're huge. We're not going to be able to do this. And one of the scripture says very clearly, in quoting what these 10 people said to the larger Jewish community in the desert, they said, when they saw the natives there, they said, we were in our eyes like grasshoppers, and so were we in their eyes. So it doesn't take much to see what the scripture's saying, the Torah is saying. The Torah is saying is, we felt inadequate, we felt inferior, we felt small, and there's like a causation put in there, and therefore we were that way in their eyes. One of the things the Torah is telling us is that in life we project to others an image of ourselves, or actually our self-image comes across. And when we feel, when people in this story, when they felt themselves inadequate and like grasshoppers, then the almost inevitable consequence was that's how others saw them. And therefore, we're not going to win. We're not going to be able to be successful in this endeavor. So a core of the problem that we say, or the core of the problem in the way the narrative unfolds, is not that objectively the Jews could not conquer the land. First of all, they had God's promise. Second of all, on a human level, it wasn't necessarily the case. But being that they did not have the self-confidence, they saw themselves as quote-unquote grasshoppers, the deal was done. That's the way the others saw them, and that's the way they would be treated. And um, the dynamic would, on a human level, without divine intervention, would have led to defeat. Torah is telling us to take accurate stock of ourselves. We all have weaknesses, we all have strengths, and we all matter, and we all have God on our side. It is honest and fair for us to see our weaknesses and work on them. It is not honest and fair for us to ignore our strengths and to ignore the fact that we matter, because that's true, just as true as our weaknesses. Let's not see ourselves as grasshoppers. Let's see ourselves as God's emissaries on earth, equipped to do the job we see in front of us. And when we have confidence in our mission and confidence in ourselves and confidence in the divine backing, we reach our promised land. Wish you a great day and a day of further progress towards whatever we call normal.